Welcome. Heyward CPA live. Try to put something on here to get people wake up. We're gonna talk about finance this morning, so it's not exactly the most exhilarating thing. But if you tune in to us right now, you're probably really down with it. So it's all good, man. So listen, I'm James Heyward, along with Mr. Cortastic himself. We'll be here in 1 second. He'll be here in a second. Let me see where he went, man. Oh man, we lost Cortastic, but it's all right though. We are here today, to kind of talk finance. I lost my man. I don't know where he went, but as you may or may not know, my name, James Heyward, CPA of Heyward CPA PLLC in the great state of North Carolina. All right. So we are a full service accounting firm that specializes in small businesses and all the things that go with it. So I'm going to do some housekeeping while my man, he gets back in. I'm here with the homie Grogu. Wait, whatever shoulder back there, and the homie Drake is by my side over here, the mascot. And I think we got Cortastic back on the line now. You back here? You hear me now?
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes, good morning.
You know what I'm saying?
Internet's
We
a little
probably,
shaky today, huh?
yeah, we probably should have done it like that anyway. I think we planned too early. We tried to be ahead of the curve and see what happens. So that's
True,
fly by the seat of the
true.
pants. But we in the building. It's all good. We're here. Heyward CPA Live is here. You got Corey here, like I was telling them, Grogu to my left shoulder. Well, I think it's my left shoulder, and Drake over here to my side. We got clear cups and everything. Straight water though, straight water. It's too early to go anywhere else. So so, So how you doing this week? Tell the good people about your week.
Oh, it's been a very productive week. Busy as usual, you know. September is here. We're going into a different phase, different season, right?
Mhm.
But very good productive week.
Got you.
How
Got you.
about yourself?
Oh, well, I mean, I was supposed to be on, it was supposed to be staycation round two. Did not really happen, but it's all good. You
hmm
know, what
hmm
can I say?
Someone kept you busy. Someone kept
Yeah,
you busy, huh?
someone kept me on the phone
Mm-hmm.
all week, but
Mm-hmm.
that's all right, though. We got nothing but love. so, so, we were going there, but I couldn't wait to get back on here. I'm really starting to enjoy this. This is a pretty nice setup we got going on here. So today, I'm gonna put the question for the day up. What's the question? The question of the day for all those out there is: what should my Q4 planning look like? Oh well,
Hmm.
better yet, that's assuming that you have a calendar based business Q4 going in, but the next 3 months. So I think we can say that most small businesses for sure on a calendar basis. So next 3 months. So this is something that's near and dear to Mr. Franklin's heart here. He's talking about Q4. So let's talk about Q4. Let's get into it. Let's see what's going on. Let's talk about it. Because man, it's September. Well, by the way, it's September 11th. Um, 20 years since a terrorist attack, New York City, DC. Um, wow, 20 years. You believe that? 20 years ago, man.
Time
That was like
flies.
our Pearl Harbor in 20 years. But here's the thing:
Hmm.
I have an interesting fact for all you
What's that?
viewers and listeners. September 11th, 1999 was the opening of this here, my record store, Mad Wax Records, on Chapel Hill Street in Durham. What is the luck that I would open the store September 11th, 2 years before?
Before.
I mean, like that's the craziest ever. Like, I mean, so it's like a bittersweet day for me because September 11th, 2001 is a tragedy, but September
Hmm.
11th,
Hmm.
99 was something that Mad Wax lives on. For those that know, it lives on.
Hmm.
It is, but
Hmm.
so that's my interesting fact. So I guess that's kind of what today is about. That's why I'm a little herky jerky because it's a mixed feeling day. But let's get back to business because we got people to inform. So fourth quarter now we doing this. We talking Heyward CPA. We talking small business. We talking about planning. We talking about keeping more money in your pocket, getting more money in your pocket. This is what we talking about. So the fourth quarter, people come in. Here we are. It's the end of the year. People often come in. And they talk about tax planning. That's what they want to talk about. Tax planning, what have you. All right. So, um, from a Corey perspective, what should we get ready for? Fourth quarter. What should we get ready for?
The closeout for the year, right? How we're going to end the year with revenues generated, because we should have
Mm-hmm.
had that plan in place. But getting ready for the first quarter. This is the fourth quarter is all about the first quarter, second quarter of the upcoming year, right? And you want to make sure you have three bulleted points that you want to focus on. What is going to be the activity? How effective is it going to be? And what are the results you're looking for, right? And so then that jumps into obviously the foundation of what we talk about on every episode is the numbers, right? And those numbers spider web
Exactly.
out into cash flow, tax planning, right? Being able to have your books in order so you can have access to capital, because what we've recently gone through is what? PPP, EIDL, and there's different phases and different levels of these types of opportunities, right? So being able to have access to capital for those small businesses so they could continue to provide products and services and grow as well, right? Especially since
Mm-hmm.
everything seems to be changing now. Um, so you want to make sure that again you're pushing for the closeout of your Q4, but you're in the planning phase for Q1, Q2. Because if you don't do that,
Yeah.
usually I seen in the industry, I've seen based off my experience and working with clients, don't do it in the third quarter, phasing into the fourth quarter, you can get lost behind going into Q1, Q2.
Yeah. So um it's about planning now. And I think one thing I went to a workshop at one point, um, and the gentleman, I forget his name, but he was talking about where you are now as a result of what you did. I think he said 3 months ago. So
Hmm.
so to to that point, the work or whatever you put together now is how you're going to look in January. Now, some people's businesses go dormant the end of the year.
Hmm.
Like our particular
Yep.
business, theoretically, after October 15th, well, yeah, October 15th, the prevailing thought is that we're done.
Hmm.
It's a non-busy time, but um, as I say to the team members, really tax season starts for us in December because we have to do all the prep. In my mind, it starts in December. Um, the actuality, the execution of what I had in mind in December sometimes takes a little bit longer. But theoretically speaking, we talk in December, and in my mind, I have the year parsed out like that to say that
Right.
okay, you wanna get it done. So what? But and so some of the things that I know from the numbers standpoint, some of the things I know to look for is basically like budgets. I want to talk about budgets. I do. I want to talk about. I think budgets and forecasting, which I believe we'll hop on the fourth quarter right now because that's what we're discussing. But budgets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, the smaller businesses tend not to do budgets. They don't do it now. I don't know if that's a byproduct of the individual owners not really being budget conscious people, or but budgets are important, and why they're important is because budgets are more about your spending. So you want to have a budget to look and see, okay, am I spending? And you know what, a lot of budgeting is like being honest with yourself, because if you it's hard to budget if you're telling yourself a story. So if you telling yourself that, oh, well, I really have to spend money on this because so that I can XYZ, and or you rationalizing, oh well, it's not that much. You can't budget like that. You can't budget on emotion. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't budget on like how you feeling. And I think this is an important time. I think you can start budgeting at any time. I say, you mean, but I think this one of the things to do is budget at this time as we talk about money. But
Well, you got to ask yourself the question too, though, right? If you didn't have the money, do you need whatever you're trying to purchase,
yeah, well, you got to ask that
right?
question in your personal life.
Yeah, well, but see, it's all connected, right? There's no separation, personal and
Yeah,
business, right?
yeah.
It's especially as the entrepreneur, but this speaks to what we've talked about in other episodes as well. It's the e-myth, it's the technical, the technician aspect, because I find that, you know, including myself in the beginning, we leave out the operational understanding, right?
Hmm.
And without the having the operational understanding, that just alludes everyone to think, all right, let me just continue to sell, 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 and I'll make up whatever numbers, I'll make up whatever finances I need, and I'll rob Peter to pay Paul. I'll do this. I'll see if I can get a extension on my payables, so on and so forth, right? And so if
Yeah.
you look at the cycle, as a business owner, you're pushing out a product, right, to get receivables, right?
Hmm.
And you might need another service or another product to help you execute for your client or customer base. And it's a cycle of accounts receivable, account payable, account receivable. So you're not really siloed. And I think a lot of people get siloed into the mindset that I can figure it out as I go along. And while that might be applicable in certain cases, it's not something that's sustainable. Hence why, we talk about this all the time. The one question that we ask, what is your how are you accounting for your finances? How are you accounting for your income and expenses? And either pen and paper, spreadsheets.
Yeah, abacus, whatever you have. Well, you
Right.
hit on something that very interesting. Great point. Um, Part of the conversation that I have with you, my father, who let us know he was in the building early. He let us know he was there
Hey,
early.
okay, okay, Mr.
He said
Heyward.
he was early the other time but he just didn't pop. He didn't say nothing until later. So he was
Got you,
he was
got
on
you.
time to class. But the concept that you can sell your way out of a cash flow problem. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing that, like, okay, if I just get more sales, I'll be, it'll fix everything. And because that's a common thought. Okay, I bring in more money than whatever. But the part that's missing, and why I go back to budgeting, and then we'll talk about forecasting in a second, is that just to put it in terms of what you just said, it costs you money to increase the sales. So
Mm-hmm.
every sale you have, if you're like, oh, I need, you know, $20,000 more a month, you you know, there in service industries maybe, but most businesses you're not getting 100% gross profit. Like, you know,
Correct.
yeah, you know, you're not, every dollar you collect is not profit. I mean, that's even in
Correct.
illegal sales. Like, very little out here that there's a cost to sell. So
Mm-hmm.
that means if say you have, even simply at 50%, if you have a 50% margin and you need $20,000, you guys sell $40,000 worth of stuff
Correct.
to net $20,000. So that means you
Correct.
need, you know, so you start
Correct.
getting into that math, and people just, they make the mistake of thinking exactly what you said, that they'll make it up, and
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to do.
And because you got to get past that break even point, right?
Yeah,
And so there's three levels, right? There's the red, right? There's the gray,
yeah,
and there's the black, right? So the red is deficit, debt,
yeah.
right? The gray is the break even, and the black is where you begin to make some profit. You
Good
know,
point.
uh,
This is
so
where we start.
we can't. Those are the two areas that I think a lot of people skip over. They go from debt to, oh, profit. I made extra
Yeah,
profit.
that's
No,
true.
exactly what you're saying. There's that gray area. We got to get to the break even, and then we measure, right? And this is why planning is so important. Is you measure your break even to your profit margin, and you could kind of play with that because a lot of businesses are either cyclical or seasonal or whatever terminology you want to use, and that's why the planning, the annual planning piece is super important because you know when your highs and your lows are based off of who your client is, your industry, and how products and services
So you know, one thing I do for us to break apart planning, because coming into the accountant's environment, you know, people's foremost, I mean, almost all the time, our initial conversation is, I want to talk about the taxes. I want to talk about the taxes. I'm like, that's off top. And you know, I mean, as we share, you know, that causes me some heartburn because I'm like, we talking about the taxes. I don't even know if you make any money yet. So why am I talking about that? And I mean, let me be clear. I don't know if you have any taxable income yet. That's the way to
hmm
say it, right?
yeah,
So planning is a pronged approach. I brought up the budgeting up for this forecasting, and it's a
hmm
budgeting forecast, and I think that's the yin and the yang. So
hmm
just to clear, the budgeting is more saying, like, I think it's expense focused. That's expense focused. Where forecasting is cash flow and sales focused, based on
right,
assumption.
right.
So the budgeting is more so, hey, and I'm totally, you know, this was not pre-planned, but I'm kind of thinking out loud. You guys are getting real exclusive because I've never really thought about this consciously. But budgeting is more based on facts. So
hmm
you have to be honest with your facts, but they're based on facts. So how much is my rent going to be? How much is my payroll going to be as it stands now? My
hmm
utilities, my a lot of the overhead stuff. You look at that, you know, but you know, the office equipment, continuing education, things like that. Forecasting is a tad bit different. I think you
It's the
use,
dreamy part of it. It's the
yeah,
dream. Hey, I
it's
want to
actually the,
make $1 million, right?
yeah,
So, right, let's put that number in place, and
there,
then
and then
how
we
do we
back
figure out how
into
to get there? Right.
it. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to say it. That is the one place in finance that's, it's sexy. It's like, ooh, it's the thing that you. And so our prescription for doing it actually can benefit a lot of owners because it is the one that keeps the dream alive. It's the one
Correct.
that says, okay, I'm going to forecast, and just to say, you know, what we do is we take assumptions. So we take
hmm
assumptions to build forecasts. So we say,
hmm
okay, well, we're going to have, you know, we do. Let's say we have 100 customers. You know, with 200 customers, this. So what changes if we add another 100 customers? And that's
hmm
the exercise of forecasting. What changes? Oh, well, my cost. You know, it gives you that realism. Your costs are going to go up. Some of those overhead expenses may or may not go up. Now, ideally, they won't, because that's how you want, that's getting into capacity building and all that other stuff. But that's the one where you
Operational
start
planning.
saying, yeah, you like, oh, now, well, oh man, if I do this, then I can have this money here, and it's a so me and a couple of my folks, we call millionaire math. Like when people come up with business plans and they say, yeah, so we're gonna get like 1,000 people, and if you get them to pay $100, we'll be making $100,000 a month.
Yeah,
Like
but if
it's
the dollar
like
today,
it's
but the dollar today is not worth the dollar tomorrow. It's going to
oh
change,
yeah,
right?
yo, that's
So,
going.
so, so
Let's see,
here's the
you
little
take it
extra
another level.
caveat.
Yeah,
The little extra caveat
there's some
is
sprinkles on there.
inflation.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying we call it millionaire math from they make it so simple. They were like, oh yeah, well, hey, this is going to get 1,000 people to pay us $100 a month. That's what some of these folks out here selling in their I think I can programs on different media. It's basic math. Oh yeah, look, I made 6 figures in 24 minutes. Like it's stuff like that. Millionaire math. But then when you get into there, getting 1,000 customers, according to what you're selling, it takes work. It takes work. You got to
And a
live.
lot of losses. You're gonna
You're gonna take
see
some
people
L.
look at losses. Look at losses as losses. It's not. It's either you win or you learn something, right? The losses is the learning. The
Yeah, you on
you
fire
lost at
today.
this, right? It's not a loss. It's a and this is something you have to learn your way to with understanding, right? And nobody's born with this mindset. You got to be
No,
committed to the process. You got to respect the journey of learning and
yeah,
learning that the losses are the lessons because check this out. You cannot let me back up for a minute. A lot of successful businesses and this is top table commentary, right? That they use.
mm-hmm.
Failures turn into successes, but what does that really mean when we unpack it?
Mm-hmm.
It's the feeling of not winning or making an honest mistake because you tried,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that feeling that is in your gut, is in your heart, is in your mind, and when you focus on trying to understand what that is, that's when you're at the epicenter of of really growth or going towards success. Because if you don't have if you don't have failures, if you don't have losses, right, it's not going to teach you anything.
True.
It's just like the pressure. You apply pressure to rocks and it turns into
Turn
diamonds,
it
right?
down a bit. Yeah.
Right. So without that pressure, you don't continue to grow. You don't continue to understand, and that's where your epiphany moments come in. That's when you read something and you break it down and it goes a little bit deeper towards your understanding because you're like, wait a minute, I experienced that. Now I understand on a deeper level what that looks like.
Yeah. Well, so and that's where getting back to taking that back to the forecasting. Some of
Hmm.
it can chart the path of your. Well, let's say it can. I think that's what helps make a loss or an error a learning experience because
Yeah.
you apply it to something. And so,
Hmm.
and as you know, I talk all the time about emotions. People have a lot of emotions when it comes to money in general. It's a
Yeah,
very
of
emotional
course.
thing. But when you're in business and you're trying to grow a business, being emotional
Not gonna
is
cut it
yeah, it's not gonna work. Now, passion, you know, great
because that's
passion.
what you get up every day with.
Yeah, and you like, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on it. But the emotion. So if you look at a loss as a failure, a lot of times that means you think about it, it's like all or nothing. Your whole point of view is all or nothing if you look at it as a failure. Every time something goes down, so you could drive yourself insane because if let's say you're looking every day, I need to do say I need to make $1,000 every day in my business, and you make 700 Monday, 600 Tuesday. By using your mark of 1,000, go nuts. But if you say, look, 5,000 a week, what happens is, I did 7, I got 6. The next day, you back in the game. You still in the game. You still can make it. And so, but if you put this thing that, well, if I don't make so and so a day, I'm not going to be able to stay open for much longer.
But you know what? I'm gonna add something to what you're saying because as human beings we have to deal with the fact that we have those emotions. So don't run from that emotion,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Lean into it, sit down on it, and
Mm-hmm.
understand it. Like put that emotion into perspective and talk yourself through it. And this speaks to that quarterly planning, that annual planning, because you may have a one quarter that is highs and lows,
Yeah.
and you might have like you just said, you might have a week of low numbers, and at the next week you get to a number, now you're up.
Yeah.
But if you look at your quarterly planning and you're on path, you got 3 months of this, but you over exceeded your goal for that quarter,
Yeah.
and then this next quarter and the next quarter and the next quarter. So this is all learned behavior. But don't run from the emotion. Put it in perspective. Don't beat yourself down. Say, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this so I can improve it or not do it again?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what can I learn from this? And what are the resources? Because now resources are important. Having people are important. We're no one is an island. We need people to help us get to the next level. So what resources are you tapping into? What relationships are you building? Because along the way, as they say, when a student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? So when there's opportunities for you to get better, there will be resources that you either have in your wheelhouse or they will show up. And we talk
Yeah.
about that all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is having those resources.
Yep. Well, knowing how to catch, but so getting back to where we are on the planning part is you have to be ready to get them. So
Correct.
this is what I'm saying. Q4, just to get back to the original question, and because believe it or not, I think we just answered each letter of the question rather than just answering the
Of
question.
course. We
So,
always do.
but it really is tied together because at the end of the year, and I'll just keep it simple for the end of the year, you have you pretty much you have 3/4 worth of information. That's in a budget standpoint, you know your performance, you know what you did. Okay, if you work on forecasting, you know where you want to go. So now you're in this place like operationally, what changes do I need to make to get to this forecast vision? And so what do you do? And now I want to also point out that the entire time neither one of us talked about taxes at all. Was it, am I derelict in my duty because we're not talking about taxes? No.
Nah, well, because it's not a it's a thing, but it's not a thing, right?
Well, yeah, but I'll tell you like this, and you've heard one of my favorite sounds. I mean, personally, I'm not in business for the government, so
Right,
I don't plan my business on the taxes. The
right,
taxes are what they are.
right,
If I
right.
as pass through, if I pass through $1 million to me and whatever the rate is for that, I know I got to pay it. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But let me
Hmm.
also put this just to add to it. Um, where do you think the idol comes from? Where do you think PPP comes from? Where does
Hmm.
that money come from?
Hmm.
Taxes. That's where it comes
Hmm.
from. So
Hmm.
like it's so quick. Everybody wants to say no. Like I'm not here beating drums. You can't find anybody on either side of any aisle talking about they love paying taxes. No one does it, but we
Hmm.
all love the
Hmm.
benefits.
Right,
The red, white, and blue cards, Section 8,
right,
going so forth. People get it. All right, where you think it comes from?
right,
The prevailing argument is that wealthy people don't pay enough and less wealthy people pay too much. That's pretty much the argument. But we all know if we live in a tax-free thing, this thing would be, you talking about the purge,
off the
it
chain.
would be out of
Yeah,
control, man. It would
yeah,
be
off
out
the
of
chain.
control. You know,
Hmm.
like people have to understand that. And don't think that, listen, if you are successful in business, you're gonna pay taxes. But here's the thing: you also may actually benefit from the government, whether it be government contracting. People want to do government contracting. Where's the money coming from? The tax money. So
Right.
people,
So you got to put yourself in position for those opportunities, right? And
yeah.
and
So
that's and
you
that's yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, hey, it might not be right, might not be what you like, but the system as it is. So, and personally, I've never really, you don't read about this. I think as a community, why we have a fear about taxes, which I mean, I can't say that it's none warranted, but you can't paralyze yourself if you run in a business and you make your decisions based on taxes. I mean, we got a government agency or something. No, even on your profit and loss, if you have it set right, if your entity pays taxes, which most of us, it doesn't, it flow through. It's reported last, just using GAAP as we say, generally accepted accounting
Generally
principles.
effective privilege. Correct.
It's reported at the bottom. Why?
Hmm.
Because you pay taxes on your profits. So
Right.
what's more important, your profits or your taxes? That's my
Right.
question. So
Right.
does that mean you don't plan for it? No, because that's a cash flow planning thing. Hey, what am I gonna have to do with my tax thing? But when you lead with that, as you already in the thing that, well, my business moves, I don't want to pay no taxes on it.
Hmm.
What kind of sense is that?
Hmm.
It's kind of like when people win the lottery,
Hmm.
150 million, whatever.
Hmm.
You have the question of, do I just go pay the taxes at one time? Take my cash. After you pay the taxes, it's your money. Take
Right.
my cash and go do it. Or, well, I don't want to pay that much right now, so I'll take it over 20 years. Which, I mean, we do. I don't even want to talk about that because of how people end up broke. But we have to stop. Taxes are a aspect of business, and I'm just out here saying that. Look, we have to stop. We have to demystify it and put it in its proper place because it's hurting you from doing, as Cortastic said, the dreaming with the forecasting. If
It's
I
just an
make,
expense, man. Just look at it as an
thank
energy
you,
bill.
it's just an expense, it's a cost of doing business. But what
Hmm.
I'm saying, when you're in business, this is the whole point. When you're a business owner, you almost have more of a shot of making your tax money work for you because
Yeah.
there's more places where you can kind of get in the mix.
Correct.
Um, you can I mean, that's just a whole thing there. I mean, you can get with politicians, they get you a contract to do something. I mean, that is in the graduate level podcast. So that's it.
Easy, easy,
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
Take it
we can't
easy,
do all that right now. We
easy.
gotta work,
So
we
we
gotta
could
work our
we,
way up.
we got the 6 steps. Let's give them the 6 steps to this planning piece, right?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
identify your direction. If there's a problem, identify that and what your goals are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Research, reach out, read, talk to resources, right? Figure out and analyze what your options are. Then propose a solution to yourself and your organization and figure out if that solution is right for you. Go ahead and implement it and take action. Super big deal right there, right? Implement, take action.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
what do? You review and adjust or rinse and repeat, whatever terminology you want to use,
Yeah,
right? Those
do
are
it
the six
again.
steps that exactly, right?
Yeah.
And that's repetitive throughout the year, throughout
Mm-hmm.
the year, throughout the year. And and make sure you focus on those 4 areas, which is operational, strategic, right? You have your tactical, and then you got your contingency, which is a super big deal. That word, contingency. What's your
Oh yeah.
fallback plan in case?
What if?
And so,
Plan
right,
B.
what if? What
Yeah.
if? What
Mhm.
if? Right? So,
Well,
um,
and I think, so also, I mean, there's no need for us to be shy now. And that's one of the things that we are beginning to offer to clientele. Um, we have a couple of things that we're working with through lean planning, and business coaching to help people out. Yeah, I guess to soften all this, to say that you can get help. You can
Yeah,
get help.
we're
Um,
here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of it is, and honestly, a lot of these things are just talking. See, we talk about it all the time. That's why it sounds, it's something we talk about. So
Yeah.
we talk about it, but I could just say from having being involved in as many businesses as I have been, um, maybe informally I've practiced it, but practicing. I mean, planning. Like everybody I talk to, I'm like, yeah, you need to write down a plan, and it's like I ask them to eat their vegetables or something. Take some cough syrup. They're like, I don't do that, and I'm like, do the plan. I'm saying, listen, don't. I didn't say write a term paper. Write a
Right.
plan. There's a
Right.
plan of how you gonna make money. How is this thing going to work? I'm telling you, the reaction
Right.
is ridiculous. They were like, I was like, yo, seriously. But I get it. Who has time for that? I'm trying to get it done. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to, I'm dealing with life. I'm dealing with all that. But I think that's what's leading us to offer these things and try to offer these services, because one of the biggest parts that I see from a coaching environment, from people that actually are in business, that was my little petty shot, um, is that having a period of time where you can even think like that is valuable as a business owner. So if you can't get to it yourself, where you have a non-judgmental environment to talk about your business, to talk about something that didn't work without it being judged as failure, to be judged before it be
Mm-hmm.
judged as learning, I think it's a great place to be. Um, you know, sometimes I've had to discuss it with the homie Drake right now, who is, I don't know if you hear him, he's like kind of snoring. He has such a hard life. I should put him on the podcast and be like, yo, how do you want to live like me? This guy got it good, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he does. He
He
does.
got it real good, man. But yeah, man. So that's it. That's me going on and on and on.
As a
But no,
matter of fact, I mean, you were just speaking about the lean bit. I was going over a quick plan, so I'll just do a little camera action here for a moment
as we
because
see,
I'm
yeah,
on
you
my phone.
showing us the
So
estate and
we
all
go
that.
here, we go here, we go here. Can you see
Ooh,
that?
look at that.
Can you
Look at
see
that.
that? So just it's we're here. We're here to assist. We're here to kind of go through and break down what those steps actually are,
Yeah.
moving from the brain to the digital application, and then to the paper that you could present to your advisory, your board, to your management team, your sales team, whoever's on your team for your
Your
business, right?
spouse. Your
Right, your
spouse.
spouse. Well, they
Yeah.
may not want to see those numbers. They just want to make sure that the bills can get paid. But
Yeah, I know.
in essence, they're part of the advisory team
Yo, that's
too.
they part of the board. They the part of the board, man. Look, like, yo, see, people worry about the government. You and your spouse, that's number one, because if they not bought on, yeah, it's not like, oh man, that's a
Mm,
separate
mm.
podcast there. You know what? I'm gonna write that down. I'm like,
Easy,
yo, you
easy.
have to, yeah, how they say public companies, they always come like, oh, the shareholders, your spouse,
Nah,
numero
but you know
uno.
what? You're speaking on that. You're absolutely right because we talk to a lot of people, right, for tax and business coaching services and business development stuff, and we find that it's whether it's a spouse or not, there's always seems to always be two people.
Mm-hmm.
There's always somebody in most cases that is next to that person that started the business, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times it's the spouses, and we we get on these calls with you know it's the business owner sitting to the side, either the husband or the wife, and it's the spouse that's
Yeah.
asking a
That's
lot of these
asking all the
questions
questions.
because they're dry, right? They're like they never been an operational person, but they're developing that skill while the spouse that started the business is the one that's going out and selling the product or the service, right?
Yeah.
And so it's super important, man. And and that's the starting phase because you got your start, you got your maintain, and then you have a growth phase for the business as well. So, um, but planning is essential, and it's something that needs to be done, and it's your roadmap. It's like nowadays you don't print out MapQuest and drive and look at the paper, right? You
No.
punch it into your GPS.
Yeah. Yeah. And take you there.
So
So I guess we
yeah,
could call it the business GPS. Might be the name of the service.
boom, bam.
Yeah, it's
There
just
might
like
no. I think there's another company out there
that. Yeah,
making
we
that.
could
But
worry. Don't worry about that.
we'll
We'll
come
come
up,
up
we'll
with
come
this.
up, we'll come up.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we can have a game 7 theme though.
yeah. Well, yeah, we definitely
Ooh,
have that. That's it. So, well, speaking of Game 7, it is time for us to. Yo, we really pushing the
exit
limits
stage
of the.
left.
Yeah, yeah. This guy's getting too good for us, but so let me just give you if you have any questions about business, any aspect of business too, because quiet is kept. I mean, gentlemen such as Mr. Franklin here, they just know about business, but I'm trying to tell you, accountants accountants that are experienced in business know about every aspect of business. Trust me,
Hmm.
because every one of those line items, there's an action behind it, and we
Hmm.
mostly have to learn the action behind what goes on it. So there's a lot, man. We speak to marketing, sales, operation, HR, and believe it or not, you all have these things in your business. I don't care what size it is. You all have it one way or the other. Even HR, even if it's just you still are the resource, the human resource. But
Hmm.
send us emails, send us any questions live at heywardcpa.com. And check us on social media. You can, of course, watch replays of this live on our Facebook page, just Heyward CPA, facebook.com/Heyward CPA, and on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, I finally figured out why these people say this all the time. Like the video and
Oh
hit
no,
the
you got
little
to go
bell so
like
you can
the
subscribe.
video.
Yeah, yeah. You can like the video down there and hit the little bell so that you can get alerted when we do another video drops. I'm using all the catchphrases when we drop another video. Um
Hmm.
and so, but as we said in the initial one, this is like the ninth or 10th or something, believe it or not. Like it's bananas,
Hmm.
right? We're here to try to bridge the gap, help the community, help those trying to run businesses and individuals too. I mean, look, we're here to talk about keeping more money in your pocket, really, is what this is about. And
Hmm.
reaching the goals and you want. So and dreams and all that good stuff. So with that being said, we are ready to sign off and be up out of here. And any final words, Mr. Cortastic?
Enjoy your Saturday.
No doubt. It's
That's all
fall.
I got.
It is fall, man. It was this morning. You know how you wake up. It was like 56, and I just was, because growing up, that's how I used to. You wake up, it'd be like 35, and you gotta get up and go to the bus to go to school, or. So,
Yep,
but it was always felt good that the crisp air outside, while your body's underneath the blanket. I was like, yeah, this is my time of year. I love it, man. So
that's it.
that's,
That's it.
that's
That's
what it
it.
was. So enjoy it. Watch your football if you can. Check us out. But most of all, have fun and learn to love the process. We out.
Hmm. Peace.
All right.